Hey gang, it's your old bat chum John S. Drew here, and I just want to slip this in really quick because I screwed up. I thank you all for listening to our big all-star tribute to Adam West, but in putting the whole episode together, I left out one of the tributes. One I was really particularly happy to see because I've been following this man's blog for many, many years. His name is Al Bigley, and he runs Big Glee, the Albert Bryan Bigley Archives, this fantastic blog of pop culture. I'll put a link up in the show notes so that you can follow him as well. So I was thrilled when he agreed to do this. So what I want to do is, before we move on to any new episodes of the podcast, is present his tribute to Adam West. And I thank him for doing it. And again, as I've already said in email to him, but I want to say it here publicly, I apologize for screwing this up. I know you're really cool with it, but I'm not. So I just want to make it up to you by giving you your time here, especially since you took the time to do it. My thanks, Al, for this. And folks, here we go. Al Bigley's tribute to Adam West.
Al Bigley here, and I want to say I appreciate you asking me to contribute to this sad but worthwhile little project. What's funny is I just recently discovered the Bat Cave podcast. I'm new to podcasts myself. A friend and I, we do a Monkeys, as in, hey, we're the podcast, which we only started last October or so. So it's interesting, this new world of podcasting that seems to have just blown up for me. But I love the Batcave podcast. There are times I'm shouting out the answers to things and, that wasn't that actor's first appearance. How do they not know this? Oh, my God. But most of the time I'm right there with you and I'm nodding like crazy and same experiences. So on to Adam. I had just finished having lunch Saturday when I heard, and it was kind of unexpected because none of us knew that he was battling any type of illness. We knew, of course, he was an older gentleman, getting up there in age. And I went along with my business, and it took a few hours, and then it hit me. And I got really sad and a little teary, but not so much for the man who I had a few interesting meals with and conversations with. More on that later. Or the Batman character, but of course, I was sad for the people I've lost and will lose. It reminds you of your own mortality and the fact that you're going to have to say goodbye to so many more yourself in days to come. People you know, inspirations, connections, friends and loved ones. And it reminded me of all the connections made through Adam West and his character. Valuable friends and connections, and now some of them are gone. You can't help but be reminded of those things whenever a celebrity dies. Like a lot of you, I'm a, quote, syndication baby. I was only one when the show premiered in 1966. But flash forward to the early 70s and those pre-internet days, and I heard there was a Batman show. No internet, no books about it. You just knew somehow the show existed. But would I ever get to see it? Again, this is 1971 or so. Somehow the Viewmaster reels, the Batman Viewmaster set, fell into my hands. Older stuff was still on sale then. You could still buy the Corgi Batmobiles and Monkey Mobiles and Viewmaster sets of Batman and Man from U.N.C.L.E. Of course, I savored those reels. Oh my gosh, it's real life people as Batman and Robin. They're having all these adventures on these dark, dramatic sets. A dark Batman in dramatic lighting, and he looks like his costume is black and gray. There's the Batmobile. There's Bruce and Dick and Alfred and the Wayne Manor. It's all there. There it was, finally. Well, sort of. It was a Viewmaster set. Then on a camping trip one night, a Friday night, the Batman 66 movie was played on the ABC Friday Night Movie. I was camping with my family, and you know what that meant. Portable TVs with rabbit ears that could barely pick up anything. I recall clearly as myself and a young pal sat inches from the screen looking through all the thick snow, barely able to make out the image of Adam rushing to and fro with that bomb held over his head. Thrilling stuff. But it was all you had. About 6 months later, though, it happened. One of the local Philadelphia UHF stations started to slot in the show every afternoon as an hour. Yes, they jammed 2 episodes together with the cliffhanger in between. And I remember thinking The Adventures of Superman, by comparison, was only a half hour, and it was in black and white. It's no contest. Oh yes, my first episode, the Riddler episode, Death in Slow Motion. Heck, I can even tell you where I stumbled in on it. And yes, I'd holler at my parents while they watched along with me at the back of the room. Hey, what's so funny? This is serious stuff, you know? Stop laughing. And so on and so on. This led to full-blown bat mania on my part. The mom-made costumes, the toys, of course, Mego. Discovering comic books in that world and comic art and other superheroes and other comics lines. And the mom-made costumes, like I mentioned. She did her very best. And a word about that bat costume that Adam wore. I now cosplay for charities, and one of the cosplays is 66 Batman. I've assembled an exacting replica of Adam's costume, and like Adam then, I'm in pretty good shape. But that costume does not do any favors to the physique. I'm not going to go into details, but remember that the next time someone insults Adam once again for his less than Schwarzenegger appearance on the show. All I'm going to say about that. Like most fans of my age, somewhere around 13, I lost touch with the show. And of course, it was seen as an embarrassment, a target. Hey, that's the show that ruined Batman. In the comics, he's a grim creature of the night, like these Neil Adams or Terry Austin comic books. Why can't he be more like that? Every newspaper article begins with zap, pow, zowie. I would pull my hair out. But how silly and how immature, really. Around age 22, moving to a big city for my first real job, I was in a mall bookstore and saw Joel Eisner's Bat book. I bought it on a lark. It was a fun treat to have it. It had episode guides and rare facts. Those kind of books were rare then. But I enjoyed the book very much, and once I got moved into the new city, I saw a local station was running Batman at 6 a.m. Well, you had to have room for Thundercats and He-Man and Transformers. So it was fun to watch the show again with the Bat book by my side and watch it with an adult eye. Now you could have fun with it on two levels. Now you could look at it and see how much work was involved from everyone concerned making the show. And of course I noticed Adam and what a tough job he had. He had to be so straight and yet deliver those humorous lines, surrounded by tons of others trying hard to keep their poker faces. What a real tightrope walking acting job that was. And a super thin tightrope, too, between farce and camp. Well, let's flash forward to the mid-90s. I'm now a comics artist working for tons of companies, Marvel, DC, Kenner, and also doing work for Batman the Animated Series, the merchandise lines. A Florida convention invited me down to be a guest, along with Adam West, Yvonne Craig, Van Williams, Kirk Allen, and a few other media guests. Adam had a demeanor that almost matched that of Batman's. At one point, he turns to me, ever so slightly, and he says, "So, when is Allison due?" How did he know my pregnant wife's name? Or that she was with me? How did he remember this stuff? And why did he remember it? But he would do little things like that. He would zing you with little personal asides. Come supper time, the promoters took us all out to dinner at Orlando's Planet Hollywood. Unusual, because usually just the media guests get that kind of treatment, not the lowly funny book artists. But it was a great treat. I got to observe Adam interacting with his fans, the casual diner, not just comic fans. Yvonne and Van Williams invited us to sit with the two of them, and that led to many years of close friendship with Yvonne, and I treasure those years. And yes, some of the stories she told me over the years. And no, I'm not going into them here. Got to save something for next time. Well, the next morning, Adam and his manager, Fred Wastbrock, who Adam would sometimes call Fred Pizzazz, had breakfast together, and I was invited along, and we ate breakfast in the hotel dining area. It was really just Adam, the promoters, Fred, my wife, and myself as an audience, but Adam was in full-on mode. At one point, he even turned to me while we poured over the breakfast menus, and he whispered, "Baked Alaska, Al?" Priceless. By then, of course, Adam had embraced the character and what it had done, both good and bad, to and for his career. He really seemed to be having fun. And I'm so glad he got those years. He got to know and embrace and revel in his own little specialized niche. So this actor and his character, Batman, the superhero, the show, it all impacted me. My very career in comics and commercial art comes right from my interest in that show, before I even knew about comic books or other superheroes or the genre or anything. I just had to be part of that crazy, colorful, exciting world. And it all seems so fun. And, I got to put my own little stamp on the Batman character through my Batman animated series work. And when fans would ask me at conventions then, gee, wouldn't you rather be working on the real Batman? I'd answer, this is the real Batman. And so was Adam West.